And we are live. So welcome everybody to another episode of the Blak Mild podcast. I'm your host Reginald. Joining me today we have Ian. Ian, how you doing, man?
What's going on? What's going on, Reg?
I'm doing well. How are you? Good. Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do the brief intro and then we'll just get right to it. So first and foremost, Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do the brief intro.
That's the YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. You might want to mute that. Okay, cool. So first and foremost, just in case anyone who is new to the show or possibly has no idea what OP is. So the Blak Mild podcast the goal of it is really for me to have some really enjoyable and meaningful conversations. Now with that being said, everyone that's been on the show so far is from the objective personality community. Objective personality is essentially trying to make the Myers-Briggs typology indicator more scientific. The way they're doing that is they're doing double-blind testing, where they're basically encouraging people to put two people in a separate room, try and get the same type as each other for any given individual, and then once you guys get the same type, consistently over time in a statistically significant manner, then the goal is to kind of pass this up to the scientific community, say, hey, there's something here, why can't, let's start looking to AI, genetic testing, or at some form of explanation, maybe neuroscience or something like that. So as of right now, objective personality is in beta. It does not explain anything on a scientific level. However, a lot of the, insights, the terminology has proven very insightful, not only to myself and Ian, but to a lot of people in this OP community. There's like a Facebook group, Discord group, those type of things. So we're going to use a lot of that terminology here. If you are unfamiliar with it or, you hear something that's off, feel free. I actually put some links in the description. So the first one is going to go to their actual beginner series, goes super in depth. There's both video and text for you to read, and that will help you get up to speed with the terminology. There is also a YouTube playlist that I've created for you guys with anywhere between 5 and 10-minute videos, as well as an interview at the end with someone who interviewed the founder who had no idea what objective personality was, right? So you get that very layman level of understanding. So that'll help out a lot. Second major thing, there is a live chat. So we are going to be looking at this occasionally. My priority is to really be locked into Ian with this conversation. However, we do check that live chat. So if you have any questions, comments, you want to get engaged, feel free to post in the live chat. We will go ahead. If we notice any comments that we think are worth, discussing or incorporating, I'll throw it up on the screen and you'll be there. Last few things, and this is kind of just me personally. So this is more so for people in the OP community. I am trying to put together a game night. I'm trying to tell you, people are still catching hands in Super Smash Brothers. It's not a game, okay? Sephiroth is just destroying people. Kirby is also destroying people. Ian, don't roll your eyes. I'm not even gonna out you right now. But I'm not even gonna out you right now. However, I know not everybody plays Smash Brothers. So I know there's some people who want to play Among Us with the OP community. Some people want to play Cards Against Humanity. I think there was something called Jack's Box Party or something. I've never heard of that before, but I really want to kind of put this together. I think this would be really meaningful sometime in 2021. I need help. So one, if you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know, both from a setup standpoint and just from things you want to see there standpoint. If you are someone who likes organizing and, wants to help me out without hijacking it, reach out to me. Yeah, reach out to me. We can make this happen. It's like if you want all the credit and the validation, more for you. Okay, I don't care. I just want to make sure this happens. So feel free. Huh?
I'm just saying what's up to Savannah. She gave me a shout out.
Oh yeah, Savannah. First of all, Savannah's great.
What's up? There you go.
Hey. So game night is on the way sometime in 2021. I am not going to be that EP that lets this drop. I've seen people let it drop. I'm not that guy. Okay. So we're just going to make that happen, but just reach out. Please help me. So without further ado, Ian, great to see you. I've seen you on your little press tour going on right now. So first of all, I'm curious how that press tour has been going.
First one of 2021, man. That's what this show is, man. So we're gonna make this one epic, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
is how? Oh well, I did Ben yesterday, and it was awesome. Like I did Kendrick like early on, like when I first got my type, and I felt like it was a mess of an interview only because I had not fully processed my type yet.
Okay.
I was really trying to kind of not work out my kinks and what I thought about myself and what now I'm learning. It was just like a whole new learning experience. So I didn't have that knowledge or insight of myself to the point that I felt comfortable. So that's why it took so long for me to get with Ben. I wanted to kind of figure some things out. And I figured some things out, especially with the SF, the FE, a lot of things. So I wanted to go into that interview and really give the real when it comes to those pieces of myself.
Okay, cool.
It was good. Check it out.
I'm gonna probably like skim it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm demon consumed when it comes to OP stuff. I'm that terrible guy.
Play it in like 1.5 speed, and that way you'll get through it in about 40 minutes.
Okay.
Right.
I might have to do that. But yeah, so I did notice you were on there. So for those of you guys who've seen that, I'm sure we're gonna probably rehash some stuff. I haven't seen it, so just be on the lookout for that. I'm also gonna put. Yeah, go ahead.
I said, "What's up to Dion?" Dion just entered the room.
Oh, hey, what's up, Dion? What's good, man? Now let's go ahead and get started with like first impressions. Like as is tradition, apparently I start fights with everybody. In the OP community, I'm not even sure I'm sorry, but I just wanted to see if this was the case for you as well.
No, the only place we fought is Smash Brothers.
Yo, and you got dropped. You weren't supposed to bring it up. I thought this was a secret.
I don't know. Yo. Election. All I picked up is that I won. I won.
You won like 3 times out of 30.
You won. I won certain occasions. You won certain occasions. That's all my master and I had of that interaction. So that's all I got. Yo, right.
I was trying to protect your privacy. Like I was trying to protect you, bro. I dropped this man in Smash Bros.
That's all I got from that. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I'm one of the few people that Reggie did not fight with.
Okay.
I am proud just to say that. I think the first time I saw you was actually an interview with Kendrick, right? Okay. And then the next couple of days or whatever, I saw you like in the Facebook group. So from my recollection, I'm like, all right, it's cool. It's another Black dude in the community, right? There's not a lot of us, and I was just happy to see familiar face, right? That was good. And then I would see you in like the Discord. We didn't really talk, but I would jump in the chat, and it seemed like every time I was coming in, you were like on your way out. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really get to talk there. And it wasn't until it was one Friday night, I got off work, I got into the Discord, and you were in the music room listening to your music, and I came in. I didn't know that feature existed, so I just, I asked you, could I listen to some music? And we just started vibing off of music. We were just exchanging tracks, talking off of that, and that was just a real good session. And then we just took it from there. So, so everything for me has been good. It hasn't been any no beef or anything.
Good.
Smash, but we'll settle that.
Are we? I'm trying not to disrespect you live, bro. Like I'm trying to.
Man, my identity is solid masculine, bro. You ain't hurt me.
Okay, I definitely hurt your Smash Brothers game, though. I'm telling you that it was disrespectful what I did to you. I'm so sorry. Like I should have backed off with it. But okay, that's really good. I think that also led to my first impressions of you as well, because in the Discord, specifically when we were in that music channel, I was just the contrast of our music taste was very interesting, and we actually had a conversation around that. So, and this might just lead us directly into OP, right? So, one of the things we started talking about, if you remember, was when I was sharing my music, it was very like not lyrical. It was very like the SF instrumentation. That's what I cared about. And then when you started sharing yours, I mean, you had some hits. Not even gonna lie to you, like I still love those songs. But especially when we started getting into like Lupe Fiasco and those type of, the more lyrical, you were like, oh no, I actually listen to music for the lyrics. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting, because I rarely do. right? So I'm curious if you want to talk about that, you know, what your experience was like, you know, that day and just more generally with music, like why is that?
That was a very interesting revelation for me as well, because okay, so I'm my type SEFE, sleep, no, play, consume, sleep, blast. So I'm SF. In the OP world, SF is the cool guy, you know, just picking up on everything popular, knows all the trends, especially being in a ESTP jumper. There's a lot of just stereotype that comes with that. But when it comes to SF, I'm not the guy for SF. If anything, I collect SF. I don't have a judgment or like any type of personal connection to it. So I was surprised when you said you were really into like the poppy music, because I abhor poppy music. Like the whole sound of it just feels very, it's like, it's phony. It's like you eat it, you taste it, it's there, and then you're hungry for something more. So I'm always searching for something that has some type of depth to it, something that's going to leave me kind of thinking, but that sounds good, and this is an overall good experience. Right. And Lupe is my guy for that. Not like I grew up with Nas and Jay-Z, like all the Tribe Called Quest, so they were my favorites growing up. But Lupe, and if we had to type Lupe, I would wager he's probably NT Play. What do you think?
Okay, yeah.
I think he's like an NT Play savior, and it's just all in his music. Like when people think of Lupe, they think of Superstar, they think of Kick Push, which are like, they're cool songs, but they're like nerdy cool.
Right.
When you get into like his deeper stuff, it's like he's just super conceptual, double, triple entendres, like making references that have like just like you like. Sometimes I'll sit and I'll listen and he'll say something, and I've listened to this song maybe about 30 times, and then I'll hear something he said, and I'm like, oh, that crap, that's what he meant. That's what he made an Imogen Heap reference that I didn't know what it was until we had the class on Imogen Heap. And then I made the connection. So he's just pulling in a bunch of just random stuff and making these connections. And it's just fun listening to him and just figuring out how all those things tie together. Right. So when he tells a story, he's telling a story from it's like a 1,000-foot view instead of putting himself in it. So when you think of like a Nas or Jay-Z, they're telling a story from their perspective, what happened to them. And I don't really enjoy those songs as much as somebody kind of just telling it from a broader perspective. Then everybody can kind of insert themselves there. Because if you didn't grow up on the streets, if you didn't grow up, your mom was on crack, or you got shot. Like, okay, I really can't relate to that because that didn't happen to me. But if you're talking about it from up here, I can put my experience within the realms of that struggle, whatever it is. Or I can think about other people who've gone through certain things, and it just makes it a more enjoyable experience for me.
Okay, what songs would be examples of that? Like Little Weapon, or like what?
Little Weapon is a good song. That whole like Little Weapon, and then what's the other song? Streets on Fire.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. That whole thing. It Streets on Fire sounds like the coronavirus, like a pandemic type of song, right? Where it's just talking about this. It's something hot's going on, and everybody's blaming each other. Everybody's looking at it from different perspectives, but it's just a problem, and it just has all these different perspectives on it. Okay. So that's a good song. I didn't think of particular songs, bro, so you want to excuse me if it's gonna take a while. Hurt Me So on his first album.
Okay.
You know that one?
I do, yeah.
Like that it's like he's telling a story about the hood and all of like the EP type of things that happen in the hood. Like you got the people who are living it day to day, and then you got all of the outside influences that are kind of like feeding off of the situation. And he's talking about it from that perspective. Go Watch is one of my favorite songs. It's his SF. You have Deliver, which is on Testual and Youth. That's another one about the hood. Just the concept is the pizza man doesn't deliver.
Right.
Man don't live here anymore. Right. So if you go on like DoorDash or something like that, there's just certain hot spots that they do not order in. So they'll draw a map and say, we don't deliver to this area because, you know, you're going to rob us and take money and take the fries. Right. So it's, I'm trying to think. Form follows function, which talks about the fact that it's substance over form, right?
Yep.
It's not necessarily about what the poppy music or what it sounds like. It's about what's included. That's even better, right? And for me, what I love about that is he says he puts the Kingdom Hall into a reference, right? Now I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and he uses Kingdom Hall in a rhyme. He says, "You can't see in ours because ours is Kingdom Hall," right? And in most urban areas, the Kingdom Hall has no windows, right? And people wonder why there's no windows. Well, there's no windows because, you know, they're in, especially in urban areas, windows get broken. Not urban, I'm not gonna say urban. In the hood, urban windows get broken into, and, you know, places get robbed. So there's nothing crazy going on in there. It's just that you just can't see it.
Right.
I can see outside, but you can't see inside.
Right.
So it's a bunch of stuff in there, man. Like, you just listen to it. His newest album, I think, was fire. He has this song called what is it called? Down, where he just takes and makes this whole it's the whole beginning of the album is him talking about slaves and how the slaves broke away from the master, or they jumped into the water while they were being carried across the Atlantic.
Yep.
But they didn't die, they didn't drown. They ended up starting living underground or underwater.
Okay.
And pulls in this whole story about the fish underground. Fish are my friends. Lobsters are cool. They are not food. Sharks is my nigga. Like he's saying all of these different, pulling in all these different like animal analogies, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Oh, the one he has on the first album where the guy's dead. He gets shot. He dies. He digs up from the grave.
Yeah. And
he comes back to life, but things have changed where he was that guy before he died, and now he is like, he's behind into times because now everybody has moved on. Right. And he's not that guy anymore. Somebody else has replaced him. So people look at him and they're like, who are you? Like, right. I don't know you, right? So it's just a lot of things that he's pulling in, and he's drawing these stories, but then you can kind of take and apply what he's talking about, that theme, and just apply your life into it.
Okay, really good. Now what's interesting is, like, you know, I mean, the contrast for me is very apparent because I grew up listening to like at least the first 4 or 5 of his albums, right? But like I always was listening to it for the sound. Like I was listening to it for the soundscape. Like the lyrics didn't matter to me. Like even growing up, it's like, and I know that hurts a lot of people's feelings when I say that, you know, especially Lupe fans. I'm like, okay, it's cool. I get, like, I've listened to Failure, right? Like that one where his lyricism's crazy on that one. I don't know if you've heard that one. But no, like,
Failure. I don't know if I heard that one.
I would say look that one up. Like that's the one where that's what got him known for a lot of his lyricism, like his triple entendres. Like that one's crazy. It's on YouTube still. But like even with that one, I was listening to it because I liked the soundtrack. Like I like the instrumental. Like that was it. Right. Like, and that's how I've always been with music. Is I prefer seeing how the instruments interact with each other, and you know, like that's why I listen to a lot of like non-lyrical music, like Daft Punk, for example. I love Daft Punk stuff.
I like Daft Punk.
Yeah. Like,
you heard of Nightmares on Wax?
No.
Or Wax Taylor? You like the Gorillas?
Yeah.
You like Nerd?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit.
But the non-lyrical stuff, yeah, it's like it's telling a story without the lyrics.
Right.
Or like the electronic sound. I do love a lot of those artists as well. And I really just started discovering those in like the last 10 years.
Okay.
Like, you know, with Pandora, I just put like, I made a Gnarls Barkley Pandora because I was looking for something different, right? And everything kind of comes back to to either like R&B or hip hop for most of my taste, or it just gets too heavy on to like the pop or the rock.
Yeah.
Wanted something like in the middle. So Gnarls Barkley's station put me in this sweet spot where it was like, okay, it pulled some of the more rock type R&B and hip hop.
Yep.
But it also gave you some alternative and some rock.
Right.
And the electronic as well. So it just pulled me into all these different worlds I just never experienced before. So that's more my lane now.
Mm-hmm.
Newer R&B, newer rap. I'm like, I'm not into it. Like, I can't get into it. I try listening to it. Just being SCFE, I'm constantly always picking up what everybody's talking about, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, well, let me just see. Let me see what they're talking about. Everybody says they like it. It's trash, right? So it's like, I've just learned to not, unless there's something about it that really piques my interest, I'm not gonna waste my time investing into what everybody else is into, unless I really, really want to hear it for myself. But yeah, that was just a good seed of a station in Pandora to pick up all of that different music.
So circling back to the Lupe, because I mean that was the formative first impression I had of you. Yeah. I remember with that conversation, I think, you know, because we were talking about it even back then, and I think you even mentioned like Lupe is really good for your NT sleep. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yep.
Okay, can you elaborate specifically on the Lupe example? Like, why would that be the case?
So Lupe's probably he's a couple of years younger than me, right? So if he's NE, he has SI, and some of the references he'll make are from things from childhood, like just random associations about cartoons or, you know, stuff that happened back then. And then it kind of takes me back into this, just start pulling up just random stuff that happened in my childhood.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, I didn't think about this, but I can pull this in and it helps to address just themes that I see in my life right now. Right. Or things that I reconciled, you know, years ago. And it kind of pulls that in. So it helps to iron all that out. Right. Because with me, because I'm sleep third. So it's like a hobby sleep. So for me to sleep, I need to be triggered into it. Like I can't just wake up and start like sleep processing. I need to hear something that reminds me of something that makes me start to think about it. Or like in a case today where I'm going to be sharing and blasting, I need to sleep and figure out what I'm going to say to have it together. So I'm not just getting in here and just blabbering. But for him giving me those abstract ways of looking at things, again, I'm like, how does this apply to me? And then I can think about what happened to me back at that time or what I'm doing right now, and how does that fit into it? So yeah, it just aids in helping to just look at things from a more complex or just more abstract way, and then kind of breaking it down and breaking that principle down, and then filling that principle in with me, and then being able to kind of like apply it.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Like, what do you mean fill it with you? I don't get that.
All right, so take Odom, right? You had a conversation with Odom.
Yeah.
And you were like nerding out on like NT. Like it was awesome to see. So for me, because I'm SF, I'm collecting just a bunch of stuff, right? And at some point I'm gonna have to narrow down. So I'm forced to narrow down, or I have to because of just I need to do something with this information. So if somebody gives me a principle, or I learn something NT and I understand what it means, then I apply it to myself. So my sleep is NT. So I have to take and I pull these things in, and then it's like, how does this apply to me or to somebody else or to whatever I'm doing? So when Odom talks from a NT principle standpoint, right? He gives you whatever that first layer broken down thing is, and then he kind of expounds on it. The way I reverse engineer that, like I gather, and then I bring it into sleep, and I discover that same thing Odom's talking about. I discover that on my own, right? And then I'm like, okay, I've found all this stuff out, and then talking to somebody like Odom is like, oh, that's this principle or blah blah blah, right? So it's I'm doing that, and when I learn those principles, I can think about how does that apply to me, this applies to me, or this is what I've seen, this is what I've gathered. Oh, that's what that is? Okay, now I have a scientific term or some other term somebody put with something I've already gathered and experienced, and I pull the two together. So.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, okay, wow. I don't do that often, but yeah, it's reminded me because I had a conversation with someone who's lead sleep, and that they were basically saying kind of the same thing. It's like they're always, it's almost like how they described it to me is everything is filtered through how does this apply to me? Like literally that question. So it's like they were telling me, for example, they'll watch a movie, but it's almost like they didn't even consume the movie because they're like reinterpreting all of the movie to fit their life. Right. So if it was like, for example, The Matrix, they didn't even follow the plot. They're like, oh no, that's me there, that's me there, that's me there. Yeah. So it's like they reinterpreted the story to fit themselves, right? As opposed to, actually gathering it. So, and I still haven't made that a practice in my life, but that just reminds me of that. Really good. So before we do a more formal transition to OP, I'm just curious what you're listening to these days.
Do I have anybody in particular that I've discovered? And I really cycle through. I've gone back more than I've gone forward. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. So back in the day, so I grew up in the 90s. Pretty much the time you was popping out the womb, bro. I was really listening into my stuff. But we used to record things on tapes.
Yep.
Right. And you would record things off the radio and on tapes. And you had to, when you're recording, you had to be careful. You had to be absolute quiet because it would pick up anything, even within externally. So you're recording the music. And I just remember there were times when I was listening to or trying to record something and I would get to the end. It'd be a perfect song. And then my mom would be like, Ian, what you doing? And you messed it up. Now whenever I listen to the song, I gotta hear my mom at the end going, Ian, right? But the thing about tapes when it comes to music is it gives you're forced to listen to the whole album. The way we listen to music now, you can kind of skim through, you pick the song, download it. It forced you to listen to a lot of all of the music and stuff that you didn't like initially, you were either forced to like or learn to deal with, because in order to get to that next track, you had to go through these two sucky tracks. So, but I've just saw that the older music just seems to be, even older rock and older pop music that I really didn't listen to just growing up in a heavily R&B and rap childhood. Mm-hmm. It just seems to be a lot better. So the older Stevie Wonder, the older Michael Jackson, a lot of those old school groups and some of the stuff that they talk about is super. It has that older decade taste to it, but it's still super relevant. Mm-hmm. So it's, man, I can't think any names off the top of my head, bro. But it's I've just seen it be going back and just kind of filling in some of that older information. That one I listened to with you, I think it was an old Pointer Sisters song.
Yeah, I think there's one going through my head.
Automatic. I just learned that song like a year ago.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's but it's dope. The sound is dope. What they singing has it's low, it's real catchy. So yeah, I've just been going back more so than listening to anybody new. I'm trying to think if I have anything new. I got new Nas. It's just different now because they're older. It's Jay-Z, they're older. It's just the stuff. And it's funny because the stuff that they talk about, when I think about the thing they're talking about now, it's I've kind of processed some of that stuff already. Mm-hmm. And I'm not there anymore. But a lot of my peers seem to be there, and they're okay, this is deep, this is good. And I'm no, dude, I learned that stuff 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of lost on a lot of their newer stuff. But yeah, so.
Oh, really good. Wow. I'm probably gonna have to ask you after. There's that one song you were showing me when we were in the music channel. I don't remember what it was called. It was this older, I think it was set in the 80s. Mm-hmm. These ladies, or this one lady singing. It was this super catchy chorus.
It might have been that she had a deep voice.
No, it was. fuck, I don't want to start humming it, but anyway, I'll talk to you after. I was like, oh, this is some hype stuff. This is some hype stuff. But I liked it for the instrumental, so you might judge me. I was all about the instrumentals.
It's the music. Like I'm the same way. It's the music. It has to sound good as much. Like Mary J. Like I love Mary J. Like some people hate her voice because it's like an instrument, right? You play a note, sometimes the note don't come out right, whatever. Right. Her voice is like that. It's like she just knows how to use her voice to complement the music. She knows how to work whatever beat, whatever music she has. And most of the time her music is like a hip hop beat. So most of her music is good, but her voice is also sounds well. So it's not really what she's singing about because I can't relate. Like she's a chick. She's gotten her heart broken. She's all these other things, but just her voice and the way she sings, like it makes it enjoyable. So it's not necessarily the subject matter; it's how she uses her vocals in the music. So I'm with you.
Yeah,
it's that poppy stuff I can't get with. Like it's just too nah. Yeah. I can't get that stuff, man.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do like I'm tired of like even trying to do like what Benjamin and Kendrick try to do. I don't care. Like,
yeah.
So public service announcement. If you want really, really technical OP conversation, I've decided I'm not that identity. I'm not that guy for you guys. So shout out to Kendrick, ENFP Male. Shout out to Benjamin. They have great channels. Ian, you were on both of those. That's where you should go. Cause I'm not that guy. Like, now, I am still very curious from an OP. We did kind of prepare, so there are some key things I want to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I'm just letting you guys know, like this might not go into every single coin, you know. So what I'm curious about, so starting with your type, I know we're gonna get into the Saviors and Demons, but I know one of the most important things to you, and you even mentioned it with the music thing, is how you don't relate to being SF or at least a popular SF.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to like elaborate a little bit more on that?
So, and I think this is with all of the different, I guess, what do they call these things? No, the temperaments, right? SF, NT, ST. Mm-hmm. Each animal has a different flavor. So I'm So SF is, they call it like the realm of like popular. It's like people and feelings, sensory and feelings. So the SEFE version of that is just it's the spectrum. It's total spectrum, right? It's not personal at all, right? So SE is sensory on a spectrum or stuff. So all the stuff, and then FE is all of the values, the people, like the people stuff. So I'm collecting, and I'm just paying attention to everybody and everything. And I just collect. So there's no personal judgment on it, right? Mm-hmm. I just pick it up, and I can't help it. It's not something I'm like really like doing on purpose, but I tend to. That's where I focus on. So when it comes to the cool things, I'm not the guy to shoot off a bunch of just names of sports players or different sneakers and cars. Okay. Like, if I'm in an environment and somebody starts talking about a particular thing, one time I may, I probably won't remember it, but after I start seeing it repeated time after time after time, then it's like, okay, this is a thing. This is what everybody's paying attention to. And I may do something with it. I may not. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I gave an example on Ben's show about these pajamas that everybody was wearing, these black and red checkered buffalo print pajamas.
Okay.
I didn't know what they were. I just saw that everybody had them on my feed. And I posted it on the Facebook group, and everybody was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen those. I wear those. I have those. They started showing pictures. But then the SEFI girl came in and gave it like a coolness stamp. Like she came in and said, this was the hottest thing this year. Right. Mm-hmm. So she has that DI in there. So she's coming in with her SE. She's coming in and giving it, the approval, right? I don't do approval. I just collect. Mm. And yeah, does it influence how I dress and what I do? Yes. I mean, it does. I can't help that. It's a top for me, but I'm not I'm more ST than I am SF, right? So I'm single activated on play, single activated on FE, but I'm double activated on ST. So it's not necessary. It's not about the SF for me. The way I feel, it's more about the ST part of it, the consume, the stuff that I like to consume.
Okay.
So as a skib, you know, those things to me, they kind of bleed together. So I'm learning about myself. I'm learning about the world through external forces. And I'm not narrowing it down. So I'm picking up. And eventually some of that stuff kind of hits my identity by not by any action on my part. And those are the kind of things that stick. Yeah, but there are going to be things that that I like, that I agree with, that I feel strongly about, and that's going to help me determine what I like, what I want to do. Right. Okay. I'm not the dude who's just, you're not going to ask me a bunch of like, what's the latest this, the latest that, and I'm be able to just rattle off a bunch of things.
Okay, interesting. But I mean, but it sounds like you're aware of it, right? Like you said.
It's not an acute awareness though. I don't know if it's because I'm not my SE is feminine. It's not masculine. So I don't commit that stuff to memory. Everything for me to commit something to memory has to kind of hit my masculine intuition, and it has to be almost thematic. Things get pulled into like themes, like a Ty Lopez, you know, just overall pattern of things. And I may be able to pull out specific names here and there, but I'm not keeping track of that stuff consciously. It's more of a background process.
Okay, so here's my question then. So when it comes to the spectrum of SF, are you deriving NI patterns out of that you're tracking?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you like give some examples of that?
Well, I think it really like with the FE, it kind of comes out when I just look at let's just take the Facebook group, right? Okay. There are themes that I've picked up just observing. Like the SF, I say the SF of the Facebook group is NT, right? Seems like everybody's coming in and everybody wants to have that NT discussion. Everybody wants that NT information. And I think a lot of that comes from in the bigger Myers-Briggs, that's the most coveted temperament to have. Like, you know, if you're NT, you're somebody, right? If you're SF, you're nobody. So it's like, I think coming in, and I fell for that. Like I came in thinking I was an INTJ, but I have masculine NT. So it kind of makes some sense. But that's what seems to be like popular. What else is popular in the Facebook group? There's like I think there's like this, I call it like a social justice warrior element of things where, you know, it's like, you know, you can't make fun of or make light of certain things.
Yeah.
Where it's like they were talking about AOC and her name. And dude, I got 10 brothers and sisters. I got 40 nieces and nephews. I grew up in North Philly. Like to me, I've seen that whole spectrum of, you know, of just being a person and being just, sometimes you got to kind of live with your whole life exposed. Like you don't have to take everything so seriously, right? Why did she call herself AOC? Because she has a long freaking name, right? Her name is so long. In order for anybody to really follow her, she has to shorten her name. It's not making fun of her or making light, not making her Hispanic heritage. It's not devaluing it. It's just because for the SF purposes, she has to have something that people can relate. Right. So when Dave said her name, like at the beginning of that class, I'm dying. I'm like, that's funny. Because I felt the same way. She got too much name. You know what I mean? So you got to shorten it. He's right. And what did she do? She shortened her name. So people like, well, you know, he's making fun of her. She's Hispanic and Hispanic people have always been hurt. It's like, that's true. But listen, everybody don't look at it from that way. She's trying to get voted. She's trying to get the public behind her. So she can't make her name an issue. If she got too much name, people are not going to follow her. So from what I've gathered, it is something that she smartly decided to make a non-issue. So why are we making it an issue? Why can't he laugh at, that piece of it? But I think there's just some people who haven't been exposed to just the greater, just societal view of that. That's not an issue in a lot of places. I mean, there's probably some things those people have to work out, right? So it's stuff like that I'm picking up on, and sometimes it may like that one's annoying to me because it's like it's just too much going on to worry about a name, or like the Imogen Heap thing. It was like, she's up there like the bird chirping thing, and everybody was so mad because she's this genius, and she is. She's good at what she does, but when she gets up and talks to a bunch of people, she sounds like she's just up there just blubbering. Like it does to the average person. It sounds like she has no idea what's going on. Right? The product speaks for itself.
Yeah.
But in terms of just general population, she loses a lot of people. That's not talking about her in a bad way. It's just that's an aspect of her, right? Mm-hmm. It's nothing personal. That's me. What I'm bringing out most of the time is not personal. It's just this is what is gathered and this is what people are seeing.
Yeah.
No judgment.
Really interesting. So my SI picked up on like one key line that I feel like summarizes what I'm hearing, right? So you said there's way too much going on for people to worry about this, right? So that sounds like way too much going on is SE, and then for people to worry about it is FE. So I guess my question building on that is, do you see, like, for example, whether it's the Facebook group or just, the spectrum of I guess you'd call it SF, are you able to see what people should be prioritizing or what people shouldn't be? Like, are you able to rank order that? Or do you consistently do that?
So I guess that would be a judgment piece, right? I think for people, it's because everybody's life is different. And, there's just certain things that are just for them, it's just priority. So, but I think that one with the AOC just kind of hit at something for me where it's like, like, especially with like race and there's so many other things going on. Like, let's let that be. Let's just, like, Dave and Shanna they're just having fun. It's something lighthearted, right? There's very, very more serious issues that are out there. Personally, I don't prioritize it, but I do also rank that as well. Like within the OP group, like you can kind of know who's who. You can kind of know who are the people that are just the most influential that everybody seems to like. And they just like them because they're good people. It don't matter what they say, they get the heart likes and, oh, you're so special. And then you get the people who are like the more information-based people who they get up there, they spit information, and they're kind of they're in the middle. But then you get the people who, like, for some reason they just cannot connect with people. They say something and people just jump on them, or they just get left in this corner. So there is like a ranking of just in terms of, if you take the value, you're at the bottom of the chain, you're at the top of the chain, right? So there is some of that going on. But if I say what people should do, I'm not here to tell you what you should do.
Right.
Just letting you know that there's things that are in the grand spectrum that's not a big thing at all. That's okay. In some respects, there's probably something that you're dealing with that you feel as though, let me put this out there because it makes me uncomfortable about myself. So I'm gonna make this an issue because it's an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's for you to figure out yourself. We're here to talk about, OP and type and what they're saying is not false. So don't make it it's about you. So look at yourself and say, okay, maybe that's something I need to just figure out for myself. Don't come in here and kill the vibe. Don't do
mm-hmm. it. Interesting. Okay. So just to contrast a little bit, like, so a lot of what you're seeing, I want to believe I'm seeing that too. I know, like, especially after OP, and like I've been going through like the past month, I'm like, what I think I'm seeing, I'm not. So I'm very aware that I could be just lying to myself right now. But I would like to believe I'm seeing that spectrum as well, honestly. Like, I mean, for example, like, or actually, let me word it this way. In the OP group, I am somewhat able to see, who the, like, either the rising stars or the top people are.
Right.
That's, for me, that's kind of obvious, right?
Right.
I don't know that I'm necessarily tracking the vibe, except on a personal level. Like I can't tell if many people don't like it. I can just tell that I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the likes help, or it's like, okay, if it has like one like and then there's like 50 people arguing in the comments, I mean, you did something. Like,
right.
But I think with the AOC, I like, so I have to confess with me, so my saviors are NE and TE, double activated as well. I would never have processed what you were processing, where it's like, her name being an SF tool. I just like for me, I didn't care. It's like, okay, like she could have kept her name long or she could have kept her name short. I never would have put together that like her shortening her name would have given her an FE advantage or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. I guess so. Building on that, like whether it's interacting with me or interacting with people with, I would say specifically TE, like how would you describe that contrast? Because like I feel like we're seeing similar stuff.
We are. Mm-hmm.
But there's clearly nuances like that where I wouldn't have, like, you're seeing stuff I'm not seeing. So it's like, can you like?
Yeah. So if you think of, if TE is everything reasons,
yeah,
FE is everything values, right? So we're both trying to capture the tribe. You're capturing it through what works. I'm capturing it through almost like what matters.
Right.
So sometimes they do align and they work. Like it just, both of them, it will fulfill the FE and the TE. And sometimes it's necessary to have the TE, even though the FE wants something different. And sometimes it's like, listen, this is going to work, but people aren't going to like it. And you got to come kind of do it a little bit differently. So the best optimal TE solution may not satisfy the FE, and in this case, the FE is the more important thing. So it's kind of taking both and looking at what makes the most sense given the tribe and what the solution is going to bring.
Okay.
I mean, at work, I'm an accountant, right? I'm a CPA, very SITE heavy environment.
Yeah.
Now I understand I'm SF, right? And so I have three other partners. So when we come together, there's 3 ST suggestions, and then I'm thinking about how the people going to respond to this, our clients, the appearance, what kind of appearance are we giving off? Like I'm thinking of those things, and I bring it up, and I just let them know, like we got to think about that. This solution will get us there, but are we going to lose the tribe, or are we going to gain the tribe through that? Mm-hmm. So in most cases, like I'm okay with the TE, but we got to factor in the FE as well. Like you got to kind of have both of them. An ideal solution is going to have both.
Interesting. Okay.
So like because the top guy at my firm, he's I think he's double masculine, SITE blast at the top. Mm-hmm. Right. So everything for him is, it's and he's been doing this for over 20 years. So he's successful. He makes a lot of money. So what he does works, but it's like, dude, it's 2020. It's like we're in coronavirus. So some of these things you can't expect this to play out the same every other year because we're in a different time and space. So we have to put on our website, we got to talk about social distancing and wearing masks and all that stuff, right? It's understood. You got to wear a mask coming in, but we just got to let people know that's what we're thinking about. Mm-hmm. If I walk into a crowded business with people not wearing masks, like they will walk right out. So we have to say that, and in addition to enforcing it. So we have to overhaul our website. Like you want to keep the website the same because it works. We have to overhaul it because we need to put that essence there that we care about you. We care about what's going on.
Right.
Know what's going on. You want to put that we have a portal that it's remote. We have that option because that's what people want.
Right.
There are going to be some people who want to come in, and we will honor them, but we're going to tell them, you only so many people can come in, or you have to stay. Go back, or wait in your car, and we'll call you when it's done. But we don't have to put all of that in there. But we have to at least put that we have these options to show the person that we're staying in line with what is important, what matters right now, regardless of we feel about the pandemic, this is what matters, right? People want to be safe, or they want to come into an environment where they feel safe.
Right. And that's interesting. I mean, and I think especially with TE and FI, I mean, really it's going to be the FI. Like the FI can do that. I mean, I've seen people with TE do those things spontaneously or like without any, at least to my knowledge, without any FE input. Mm-hmm. But it's usually the FI has to be on board first. So it's like the person has to, for themselves, see this is valuable to me that they're safe, or it's valuable to me that we're communicating that, but quite frankly, yeah, if the FI is not on board, the TE is just going to throw out some stuff. It's like, no, you know what? If you're worried about that, here's the tool. I'm not going to tell you I care about it.
Right.
But if you want, here's the tool and go figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So then my question, this may be, hopefully this isn't too much of a tangent, but so OP is the founders of OP both have TE, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is there anything about whether it's the system or their communication style that kind of throw you off from an FE perspective?
Honestly, it doesn't. So if I believe that what they're giving us is great information, right? It's just experience. It's telling us, they're telling us what they've put their time and effort into, and they're giving it to you. And they're the best way that they can, or it's like, so it's about the information. So I'm like, where does the FE come into play? I don't know if it does. I don't know if it should matter, right? Because they made this off-color joke about something, you get a little butthurt about. Are you going to stop listening to it? You're going to lose some people, right? You're going to lose some people in that process, but the majority of people are going to stick through it. They may not like that. They may fast forward to it because a lot of people don't like the cursing, right? So I know some people are like, they curse too much. Like I can't listen to it. They drop too many F-bombs, right? So it's like, so you're going to lose some people there too, right? But overall, it fits the value of the people that are coming. They want the information, right? And I could do without some of the things they're saying, some of their observations. But for the most part, I believe the way my FE, my SEFE have put it all together, most people are there for the information, and that's what matters. So that's, I don't see an issue with what they're doing. I think, if anything, that the SI and the TI are the things that are missing.
Oh, okay. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Just like they have a lot of anecdotes. They're kind of doing things on the fly and just kind of teaching. And you can tell with the later videos that they're not taking the time to explain as much as they used to, because they're starting to see the patterns, and it's stacking into their NI, and they're just more quickly moving through those things because it's not really interesting into them anymore, right? Some of the more OP, more technical stuff that we hang on to and we want to see over and over again, like in an SI fashion, just repeating the same thing in the same process so that we get it. They don't have the time or the desire to build something like that. So at each lesson, there's just this SITI element of, this is what we did, and this is the logic behind it, the reasons behind it. And you go through each one and you explain it. That repetition is necessary as part of being like a good teacher. So I think those pieces they need to build in if they want to be respected as like a real, like a learning environment, if that's what they want.
Right.
I think that's another cry of a lot of people, is that piece of it is missing. And I think that's valid. So, just having some kind of systemic structure to what they're doing, that they follow a script and just want and just go through it. It's not exciting. It doesn't sound like it's exciting to them to go through that type of structure. But I think it's necessary if they really want to achieve what they're looking to do with it.
Right.
That respect, right? That consistency. Because I mean, you think about it, 50% of the population want the SI, right? Or they want the TI, right? And they don't have that.
Okay, really good. Okay, good. So that kind of covers a good bulk of your personality. Now, I know when we were talking, at least in the prep, one of the biggest things you wanted to talk about was, I have it in the notes as your pursuit of your last animal. Right? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So the blast.
Yeah.
Down. That to me is a big hurdle, and because when you are like the skib, the reason why it's called a skib, and some people find fault with it being called a skib, you know, but it's like there's so much truth to that. Putting the play and the consume together, you're just over gathering and just picking up and just pulling things together, and you don't take the time to narrow down. So me being NI last as a demon doesn't mean that I don't have intuitions. It doesn't mean that I don't have guesses or patterns that I pick up on. Like I can kind of predict this is what I need to do. This is what the plan needs to be. But I have struggled with trying just to narrow down and get started, right? I could go into, so I do some speaking in my community, some public speaking.
Oh, cool.
And I could have a topic on something that I could recite with my eyes closed, spinning around, whatever. But I'm still going to feel the need to go and do some gathering, do some research, do something, because I want to make sure I got the latest understanding. I'm trying to think. I need to know who the audience is, right? I need to know who is going to be out there because I want to be able to reach them, right? So if it's a bunch of kids, if it's women, if it's older people, married people, like it has to be something that they're going to find beneficial as well. And there's always this opportunity to find something new or interesting for them, because if I know it and I have it narrowed down, they probably have it the same way. That's the way I look at it. Like if it's old to me, in a lot of respects, there might be a lot of it old to you. So I want to find something new that we both can kind of say, okay, I've never applied it in this situation, or I didn't know this nugget of information. So, you know, that's my pursuit as well. So you take that and you kind of push it out or multiply it by 2, being double activated on SE. You find yourself ignoring what you already know the outcome's going to be, or the high likely outcome, in the pursuit of gathering, in the pursuit of, okay, I want to make sure this is the right move before I start. You've lost time, right? And you've lost like momentum. So it's, and you sometimes you just you know, the opportunity kind of passes. And sometimes I'm just watching it pass. I'm watching the opportunity pass because, you know, I haven't taken the time, or I haven't just done that path, and it hurts. It sucks. You know what I mean? Like my career, like I knew, and I think, did I tell you about, like, I decided to become an accountant when I was like 2nd grade.
Yep.
Right. Something that masculine intuition, even as a demon, it's like, it's real. Right. So I locked into that and never thought about it again. And I got, you know, went through college, even the way of me getting into college, in some ways, I'm not gonna say it was luck, but it was really just fortune. Like I got into 12th grade. I mean, I did my SATs, but it just happened that, okay, there's a bunch of scholarships for young Black men, young Black people. I'm smart, so I was able to get the scholarship. Right. It's not like I was saving up for college or anything like that. I just happened to walk into a situation where I had the ability to get that money. Right. But then I also got into this program for minorities that got me into one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. So pretty much my ticket was written for me before I graduated high school. I just had to perform and just keep up the criteria. Right. So imagine if I didn't have that written already and being a gatherer and not really doing the work. I would have graduated and then, okay, I'm going to take this path, but I haven't prepared for it. Right. But fortunately, it was already written. So I just continued on. Right. Got through college, struggled a little bit but I didn't see that maybe this isn't the career for you. I kind of winged it. Certain parts I aced, but certain parts I was like struggling with. But I'm like, I never really sat back and said, okay, maybe this isn't for you. I managed to get through. And then, 2 years into my career, and it's like once I got it, I'm like, okay, this is the totality of what I've committed my life to. And I'm like, this sucks. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, what do I do now? And my initial reaction was, all right, I'm gonna just push through it. I'm just gonna fight it, and I'm gonna be a G. Like I'm gonna show. Like one time, one of this real privileged blonde haired, blue eye guy was like just like he really pretty much he said, what did he say? He said, you're not as good as them, but you try hard. Right. Now, mind you, I'm the only Black dude in this group.
Right.
And I don't know, it may not have been like racist, but it felt that way. Right. But I took it as a challenge to like really sit back and say, I'm gonna show them that that's not what I can beat these guys. I can. But once I got into it, I'm like, do I really want to?
Right.
I don't want to. Like, I have no desire to prove to them that I can beat them in this game because I don't want to be part of this game. Right. I have no interest in being part of this game. Right. So I got into this point where I was just stuck. And had I had like some good blasts, I could have like my NI was already there. But I think that the way the TI, the value, what I was doing was the place to be. Like I was fed that at an early age. Mm. Where I was the premier place to be. So why would I leave this and go to something uncertain, unknown? And it wasn't until it got really critical where my performance started to be affected. And it was like, okay, I could lose my job because I'm just not into it anymore.
Yeah.
And I realized that, dang, I gotta do something about it. Right. So that was like the first piece that was the first lesson. But again, having the skills, having the gift of gab, having a big premier name on my resume, I found another job like that. Mm-hmm. Slid onto the next one, right? I slid into the next job and pretty much did the same thing. But it was just for certain that I need to do something different. So now it's almost like a fear because I felt like I was like stuck.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. Right. And that's when I got in the MBTI like the second time. Like I had a big breakup when I turned 30. And I went back to MBTI trying to search for some answers. And that's when I typed myself again. And that's when I started seeing more like the NT piece. So just building those blocks together. But then I ran into the same situation 5 years later with that job. It's like I get to like 5 years in and I hit this wall and I'm just like, I'm not motivated anymore. Mm-hmm. Right. So the same thing happened. I'm like, okay, I'll probably lose my job. I need to find another job. So I found another job. But the minute I walk in, I go to orientation. I'm like, okay, I felt this dread because I'm like, this is the same thing that I've experienced these 2 times.
Yeah.
Coming in knowing, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. So my first reaction was, okay, I'm going to fight through it because they're paying me a lot of money. Like I'm 6 figures. Like I'm making like this is good. Everybody's telling you this is good. Like I'm making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But I'm dying inside. Like I got these anxiety, these I'm getting like twitches and all these crazy things that's happening to me. And I just hit this wall where it was like, you know what? I can't do this. And I did that. I suffered for like that for like 3 years. And one day I was just sitting there and I just prayed to God. And I'm like, I need to get fired. Like I prayed to get fired. And 6 months later, I got laid off. Mm. I got laid off, but it was laid off. And they were like, listen, this is not a fit for you, which I knew, but they said it. They didn't like kick me out. They said, we're going to give you 30 days to find something. Because we like you, we think you did a good job, but we know this is not working for you. And they gave me and they let me write my own ticket in terms of how I walk out of there. So they threw me a party. I made it. I made some plans of what I wanted to do, but it wasn't my decision, right? But fortunately, I was able to walk out of there, and it was a while. It saved me the embarrassment. Where I'm at now is, being an entrepreneur, have my own business. This is what I should have done at least 5 years before that. Like, but I wouldn't make the move because there was just too much sensory, too much work to be done, too much gathering. There was no time to sit down and narrow it down and say, this is not working. You already made that decision, you know that, but now you have to take the action to get started. And then, so I prayed about it. I needed help to get started. But then once I got fired, once they laid me off, I'm like, I'm not going back and begging them to get my job back. I kind of looked at it like I don't have an option now. I gotta build something for myself, right? I was able to collect unemployment based off of that. So I said I got 6 months to restart my life, right? And I just used that time. I had some money saved up too, but I used that time to just try different things. And eventually I made my way to where I am now because I knew those guys back when I was in college. So that kind of worked out as well. But just narrowing down and saying, I'm just going to go with this option or make a decision to walk away without looking at all of the other options. I probably wasted, I don't call it wasted, but I could have started 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
And gotten to the same place with better use of the time, better utilization of the time.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot there. I mean, I'm going through something I'm kind of going through a version of your story, right? Which is scaring me because like I'm at the stage where I've jumped from job to job and I've had similar inclinations. Now I didn't have the patience you did. I jump out after like a year and a half, 2 years, right? I'm like, no.
That's good.
But I'm still, right now, my job right now, I'm kind of hitting that same wall. But what's terrifying me is exactly that fear that you had when you walked into that new place. Because I'm like, even if I look for a new job, what if I walk in, exactly what you said, what if I walk in and it's the exact same problem, right? But yeah, I think what the key was for you is like, as you said, it's like you had to go and build something for yourself, right? Which is like sleep, right? It's like it's actually OI something that was part of your identity. So really good. So I'm actually going to go through the live chat because I think there's some questions related to that story, if you don't mind. So starting with Jerry, I think he asked this back when you were talking about, this might not necessarily be for this story, but I think this was back when we were talking about the, the class, like you're saying the class, the FE wasn't the problem with the class, the TI was the problem with the class. And I think he put that there. But in general, do you think that this is something you relate to? Like your FE is good with the TI, at least in the class?
Yeah. So the FE, it informs my TI. So the part of being TI demon is that, identity is a hard thing. So collecting what everybody else values helps me to evaluate what I value or inform what I value. So part of then even with FE so FE is a tricky one because it looks very different when you are like an EJ versus an FE double decider, right? Okay. The EJ is like the Kathy Bates, like what we saw in the recent Kathy Bates class, like crazy crying and baking cookies and all of that stuff where you like forcing the tribe down this path because you feel like that's what the tribe needs. Like the FE for a double decider is balanced with the TI. So in my case, I'm a double activator on my TI. So the FE is like, okay, if I have to make a decision, the first thing I'm gonna think about is what would people think, what do people need, what are the people consideration? But then I'm gonna also say, well, what do I want?
Okay.
What's most important in the situation, right? Is it a me decision, or is it something that I need to do for the tribe? And I just try to reconcile that. So the FE, when I'm trying to make a decision, does collecting from people and understanding what their needs are, what they want. Because sometimes if I'm trying to make a decision for myself, I'm trying to eliminate the things that won't upset the tribe as much. right? Especially in my community, you know, I have responsibilities. I have things. I don't want to do certain things to like affect the people that I have responsibility over. So I have to make sure that what I'm doing won't upset them. So sometimes I'm trying to figure out, can I do this and still keep the tribe happy, right? And then sometimes I want to do something, but I don't know what it is. So let me go talk to the tribe and see what they're doing, and then I can choose from what they're doing what I want. So I think I hope that's answering his question. But yes, they work together, right?
Right.
And because I think in my case, I'm the only. What makes it? I don't know how the jumper thing works because I'm a jumper, so my FE is a savior, but the TI, according to what Dave and Shan say, is still like a bigger muscle.
Right, with the grant stack, yeah.
The grant stack, and it's double activated. So I'm the only active person in the class who has this situation. So when I look at a lot of the INFJs or even the play consume like a Sammy.
Okay.
Got typed. He's SEFE. Like I can see the differences in us. Like they're double activated on their play. And so that FE seem to be just the FE plays a bigger role in their life. Like Shan called my FE watered down. Right. I'm not necessarily, and I'm activated in play. I'm not activated in blast. So the way the FE interacts in play versus blast is very different. The blast is you're trying to control, you're trying to produce an outcome with the tribe.
Right.
As part of your MO. I'm not. I'm just. It's an information type of thing to inform myself.
Right.
And if I need to do something for the tribe, then I have the FE to do it. But if I don't, it's like I'm making this decision. I'm using it for myself.
Right.
It's better my life, enrich my life.
Right. Really good. So moving to the next question, and this is kind of getting more toward the story you just told us.
Odom.
So first of all, Odom relates.
What's up, bro?
Also, Blast last. So he said he relates. Now he did have a question. So when you were talking about to quote, I don't want to be part of this game, he was asking if that was the sleep. So I'm curious what your thoughts are there.
So Odom, I was bigging Odom up earlier, just telling him about how, and I'm glad he's here because that has to be sleep, right? Because I made that decision based off of sleep. Like I was challenged. I said my first reaction was I'm going to show them, but then I had to take a step back and say, do I really want to? Right? I know it's a game, but do I really want to play this game? That was all like sleep, right? That was all me going back and saying I have no desire to prove anything to anybody. So that's definitely a NT sleep thing. And Odom, if I got it correct, that's pretty much how that's how you operate life. You know what I mean? I'm after I've gathered and went out there and kicked around a little bit, I sit back and say, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Right.
And then I come to this conclusion. But before you jump in, you're like, hold up. Do I even want to be part of this? Right. So that's that difference.
Yeah. And if I can add, I'm sorry.
I was laughing at you, just wondering your thoughts. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, he ran out of characters. Yeah, he's not talking about those type of thoughts.
Oh God.
He's not. Odom's better than that. No, Odom, he's not like that. But yeah, so if I can add, I definitely relate more so to the I'm proving it, like, and that's where I get in trouble. Like, and I think play is related to that, where it's like, if someone's demanding something or someone's saying, oh, you're not good. I mean, it's the whole not good enough type of thing, right? Oh, you're not good enough here, or you're not working hard enough, or oh, this. Yeah, the first impulse of the play is to be like, no, right? But yeah, you betray yourself in the process, right? Like, and I've experienced that many times, professionally and personally, where it's like you just start running, and you are being basically controlled by the other person or the other, whatever that expectation is.
Right.
You start getting controlled by that. And then, so it's until you start taking a step back and saying, hey, what path do I want to go on, regardless of the social approval, then you're basically like, people can just move you around. Like it's sad, but it's true.
Yeah. in that environment, it's like it's a lot of work, and because it's SI work. I'm FE, and I'm trying to I have to force myself and work hard to narrow this stuff down. I can easily get sucked into it day by day, right? Yeah. And then after our busy season is like tax season in the U.S. January 1st through April 15th. I work, and then it's like in May, it's almost like you got this window between like May and September to figure out to change careers before you get pulled in again. That's where I look at it. And if I haven't taken the time to start looking for another job or figuring out what I want, come the fall, I'm sucked into another season.
Right.
So it was just a nasty cycle that I'm glad I got out before it really got really bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Really good. I think one last thing before we transition here. So, with the way FE works and how non-judgmental it is compared to FI, do you also find it frustrating when people are judgmental towards you? So I think this is a you question, Ian. This is for you.
Yes. So, but it not all the time. I guess with me, I understand sometimes people are judgmental, and a lot of times maybe they just don't have enough information, or sometimes I just don't care why you're being judgmental. Like that has nothing to do with you. Like, mind your business, right? So if it triggers like the TI, that's when I get those kind of reactions. But yeah, people don't understand because you're kind of looking at it. There's no value attached to it, right? It's like I see it all, and it's an observation. I have no type of. I'm not choosing this based off of what I feel. I'm choosing this based off this is what's the best thing to do. This is what I feel like when I look at everything. This is the move we have to make. So a lot of the value judgments have nothing to do with how I feel inside, and then people, they get into their feelings. And so it might be for Odom just demon FE. It might be that maybe that's just something you just haven't gathered and just picked up on, like, in process. Like, I picked it up and I'm okay with it. I've accepted it. But having my masculine identity is like,
and just to add, and I know Odom, you're heading out, so watch this when you can. But just to add, as someone who 100% judges people off of some hurt feelings, right? From the FI perspective, or at least from my perspective, but I do think this applies to a lot of people with FI as well. It's like usually when like people with FI are really strong on those value judgments of, oh, you're a bad person, or I don't like this. Especially when it's coming, like if it's super like aggressive or toxic, it's usually because they're in a very bad emotional space, because FI is so personal emotionally, right? If they're in a bad place emotionally, that's going to leak out.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something you have to consider as well. Is like usually when people are being extremely judgmental, it is really them, honestly. Right. I mean, there is such a thing as constructive criticism, but like if it's truly constructive criticism, it will be delivered in a constructive way. Right. So if it's this more toxic, nasty, bad emotional thing, it's usually them. Not even usually. I think it's always them. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I would add to that. But okay, really good. So one last major topic, unless there's something I forgot. I know one of the things you were very interested in talking about with me is like just race, especially race in the context of OP. Because I know, if I'm not mistaken, when you watched the Ikram episode, you were like, "Oh, I want to talk to you about that." And so this is where I kind of have to hand it off to you, because I have no idea what you want to ask me. Like I'm like,
I asked that, but then kind of like you kind of put it out there a couple of times. Like you're like me on that. It's like well, let me ask you this. Why? Because you said that's not something you really track or you really pay attention. So as a young Black man, where everybody kind of paints it as, you're the target. You have a target on your back.
Yeah.
You have so much against you. Why don't you feel that way?
It's unusual, right? Like I think first, like I want to be a bit fair. I think part of it is just I'm not tracking the facts, right? Just demon sensory. Yeah. I am not, like, even things that happen to me, I usually forget it if it's not relevant to me, right? But I'm sure, like, I even said that in the Ikram episode, I'm like, I'm sure there have been situations where people have been racist towards me. Like, perfect example, right? So when I first joined my job, or the job I'm in, so there was actually another black guy that was working with me, right? So he was one of my coworkers, and he pointed out a lot of things. I think he was SF as well. Like, I think he was actually like a jumper. So I think it was SEFE jumper. And he was pointing out certain things to me at that time where I was like, oh, I guess that could be interpreted racist. So like one example is he was like, hey, have you noticed that, out of all the people, they only tell us we're articulate and how well-spoken we are and how well put together we are. And I'm like, for me, so me being super gullible and naive, I was like, I just took it as like a superficial compliment. I was like, sure, whatever, thanks.
Yeah.
But for him, he was interpreting it through, because he's very much more about like racism and stuff like that. So he was interpreting it through that lens. And so when he told me that, I was like, oh, I mean, I guess it still didn't sink in, but I was like, I mean, okay, I guess, yeah, it's kind of weird that, I'm the only one, like I'm using the same words. So it's not like, I'm not using like Oxford level words out here, but, yes, it's strange that there would be those type of compliments directed towards me, and so that's one example that I can remember. And I think he brought up several other things, where but honestly, I'm sure that's happening to me all the time. I'm just not tracking it, and I think the other thing too is like I don't really care because I'm like I know myself, and I know we live in actually a really good time. I mean, yes, there's like a lot of stuff where I need to be careful. But it's like, I know if I put in the effort and I get my stuff together, I will dominate everybody. Like no one's like, that's how I feel about myself. It's like, no one's gonna touch me. Like if I'm actually serious.
I think that's the masculine sleep, bro. I think that's the double masculine sleep. I just feel like, your identity is solid, right? So anything that you come across, it's not gonna be much that's gonna sway you with that. You and being like with us, because we both have the double feminine exterior, it's like we are, as stuff comes and pushes against us, we kind of let it be, let it happen.
Right.
And some people look at us and we're like, oh, you're playing the fool, you're suffering the fool. But it's like, listen, I know what's important to me, and this is not important, right? This is not going to affect me the way that it would affect you. So I'm gonna just let it ride because that's on them. Like I'm gonna be okay.
Right.
Be okay. So, and that's interesting what you're saying. I'm not necessarily, again, I'm not tracking the issues. I'm tracking the people.
Okay.
And the people are the ones who, like the media, like that, like that EP conspiracy, the media is creating this. In some ways it is. They put it out there because that's what everybody's talking about. And that's what sells. That's what gets the attention. Yeah. So, but again, there's a lot of other things going on, and I just found it funny with I just found it funny with the OP. Like when I got my results back, everybody on my results page was black, right? It was like, and it's funny. I went to school with Kevin Hart, so Kevin Hart's on my document, and I'm like, I don't think me and Kevin Hart we weren't the same in high school. Like right. I was a nerd, right? I was smart. I was in all the honors classes, and he was the funny guy in the lunchroom. But I think his sensory is masculine as well. That may have a difference to do it. But it's like everybody on there was black except for Jay Shetty, who's brown, right? So it's like everybody was, and I'm like, is this them trying? And this may be their bad FE, just saying, okay, because he's a black guy, he needs other black guys to feel like
that's exactly what it is.
You know what I mean?
They've said that on interviews. Dave said this on interviews, right? I think there was one interview in particular. I don't know if it was with that. If I don't know if it's the one on my playlist or not, but if I'm remembering correctly, Dave talks about how. So in Dave's FI, he says how he has a special place in his heart for people, for minorities and for transgendered people. Apparently,
okay,
that's his big crusade. He cares about them a lot, apparently.
Right.
And so for him, one of the things he does to combat a lot of what he believes is kind of like the perceptual stereotypes is they intentionally fill the doc with if they find out you're like LGBTQ or whatever, they'll fill up the doc with that. If they find out or not find out, I mean, they're going to kind of tell. But if they see that you're a minority, they're going to fill it up with that. And the idea, I think Dave's idea, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but if I'm remembering this interview correctly, he was like it's important that people can see, it's not just a bunch of dead white guys. That was kind of logic.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. Like, I get that. I just think for my own development, it's like, because I looked at all of them and there was only like one dude who was like my exact type. Everybody was a coin off. So like, if they're blast sleep, then I'm not going to get the same,
right,
as similar. Or if they're masculine sensory, like, what's that guy's name? Terry, what's his name?
Terry Crews.
Like, he's in my doc, and he's
like super extroverted.
Yeah, it like it's and that's where I felt a little bit shortchanged, because it's like, bro, they're just not the best representation. Like, there's some similarities, but I don't see myself in any of these guys. So it's like, I guess they're trying to do their best, but he is right. There's a population of people who want to see more representation, but if this is about the information, regardless of who the person is, it should be about the information. It shouldn't be about what the person kind of looks like or going through. That's personal for me, right? So I never heard him say that, but
if I can remember the interview, I'll send it to you. But like, I remember it's in one of his interviews for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's in your doc?
I didn't get a doc, so I got phone call typed. So I mean, that's a fucking conspiracy. But sorry, that's a conspiracy by itself.
You did good, bro. You did good.
Yeah, I was trying my best, man. I'm so sorry. I almost made it.
Very good, bro.
So guys, the reason I'm I don't think they know. I was trying to not curse in this one. I failed.
For my tribe. It's for my tribe.
Anyway, so I got typed both times via the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I did submit a video, but I didn't get a doc. I mean, the one thing that they did give me was an email one time with like potentially similar, and like I had like Aaron Sorkin, of course, Phil DeFranco, I think Elizabeth, whatever her name is, the NETE one, and then there was Owen Cook. So that's who I got. Yeah. So I mean, I didn't experience that problem. Maybe because they don't have many Black people who are NETs, honestly, but
yeah. No, that's pretty much what it was. It's funny because you brought it up to Ikram, and I'm like that's exact. To me, it's more tongue in cheek, right? It's just funny to me. It's but I know if people don't have the perspective I have, like, I grew up in North Philly, so that's the hood. But I've been to Asia, I've been to I haven't been to Africa, but I've been to other countries, other continents, but mainly Asia. But I've seen and talked to a lot of people and just been in different environments. And I just see that when I kind of take everything and strip it all down, like, everybody's going through the same stuff, having the same issues. And this whole topical, what your skin color, what your eye color is, it just doesn't matter. So if I'm really trying to develop myself as a person, if they really want this to be something that is useful, it needs to be as objective as possible with the facts. So if I'm SEFE, play, consume, sleep, blast, give me everybody who's SEFE. Now,
exactly.
I will say there might be a difference between a woman and a man, because I think I've noticed that, it's some chick with like blue hair that's SEFE that has my exact type. And her videos, and it's about makeup, and it's just about a bunch of stuff. Like, she's crying, and I'm just like, I can't, like, I'm not gonna watch this. There's nothing. It's too much external stuff for me to really get into her type and try to figure her out, because I'm looking to see myself.
Right.
I don't see myself in a woman. You know what I mean? But being with a guy, I can kind of relate a little bit more to what they're going through. So yes, I do believe that divide should be there, and you can kind of build from there. But if there's a white guy somewhere that is my exact type and is acting like me, I want to know that more than having a Black dude that with a couple of coins off.
Right. Yeah.
Me.
Okay, really good. I think that's it, man. Unless, because I know you sleep process a lot of this. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about, or
no. I mean, if anything, I think with the, the only thing I wanted to say with the, because somebody asked, you put in that thread with the ask me anything.
Yes.
And I wanted to just say with the SE, like F. Why can't I say that? No, I already said it. I already talked about the FE at the top. So don't even worry about that. We covered it. We're good.
Okay, cool. All right, really good. I think you have the YouTube unmuted again because I can hear myself. But yeah, so all right, cool. Really appreciate it. Really glad to have you here. And yeah, this is really great. So for everybody, thanks for joining us. There's a lot of people here today. Shout out to Savannah, Odom, Jerry,
thank you
as well.
Yeah.
So just closing up a few key things. I know there's some people here who skipped to the end. I know you guys. I'm kind of judging you. I'm not really judging you, but my concern is if you don't know what's going on, if you're listening and you're like, yo, what's consume, what's FE, there are some links in the description, okay? There is a beginner series. There's also a YouTube playlist with 5-10-minute videos. Please watch that if you're confused, or leave a comment and we'll answer that. Second major thing, I'm trying to destroy you guys in Smash Brothers. I'm trying to tell you, Sephiroth is still the boy. Ian just outed himself. Dude, I was trying not to tell you guys.
Listen, let's do what we did last week. Let's do it again.
Yo, you want me to body you 30 times? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
30 times, bro.
It was 30 times. I counted. I have the screenshots. Bro, okay. Anyway, Ian got bodied a multitude of times. If you want to join that trend, feel free. I will put my friend code. My friend code's in my about section. I'll put a comment.
My typing partner.
Yeah, I'm also trying to put together an OP game night sometime in 2021. Among Us, Cards Against Humanity, some more kind of community friendly games and things like that. Because I know people don't want to be disrespected by me too much. So if you want to help me organize that, or if you have any suggestions, feel free to reach out to me and we'll get that going. Last major thing, I am working on a project to put timestamps on all these videos. This will eventually have timestamps. This is especially for you guys who just like skipping around. I'm not judging you guys. I'm here to help you. The top 3 viewed videos, the Uzair one, the Ikram one, as well as the gray one, have timestamps. So if you want to go back and you want to revisit some key conversations, those have timestamps on it. I'm going to eventually get timestamps from all these, but just be patient with me, okay? Finally, feedback is appreciated. I don't give a shit about thumbs downs. Just, thumbs up, thumbs down. Just let me know what you think. Leave a comment. I read all the comments. And if you like to see more of this type of content, feel free to subscribe so you can get the notification, okay? So other than that, Ian, again, really appreciate it. I thought that was really insightful. I will catch you all on the next one. Take care, guys.
All right, see you later.